When one starts their search to date and possibly marry a Filipina, we usually have an idea of what sort of woman we're looking for. Well, at least we should have an idea. I'm sure most of us have had a think about what her physical appearance should be like, and maybe a few other things. But really, how much consideration does a past play when you're searching for the right Filipina for you? Now, of course, there's no blanket one-size-fits-all answer here, and everyone will have their own preference or view on this. The idea of this video actually came about from a conversation I had recently with my Filipina wife. She was saying that from her experience on how many Filipino men are very particular about a Filipina's past. And I certainly understand how a person's past can affect their future and why some things in a person's past may make having a relationship with them a deal breaker. And from this video, I'd really like to get a good and respectful conversation going around this in the comments. So feel free to add your views respectfully, of course. There are several areas, as I see it, that may affect someone when coming into a new relationship, or at least looking for a new relationship. As I say, for some men, a Filipina's past may not be a problem at all. But for others, she'll become a no-go zone. Now, the most obvious thing that stands out for me is if she's been married before. In many Western countries, this wouldn't be much of a concern because they can simply get a divorce, which then frees them up to remarry. But in the Philippines, there is no divorce and only annulments, which are reasonably expensive and can take several years to complete. For me at least, this would be a deal breaker, as this is just a little too complicated when starting out in a new relationship. Especially so when there are many women in the Philippines that have never been married. The next point I raise is around previous relationships the Filipina may have had, no matter if she married or remained a single woman. Now, realistically speaking, most of us have had some sort of serious relationship in our lives. And we also know that with the end of relationships can come some baggage to carry. And often we may take that into our next relationship. For example, if a Filipina was with a man for, let's say, 2 years or so, and this man treated her badly throughout that relationship, she may then be inclined not to trust that a man will do right by her, and her walls around that may be hard to break down. Previous relationships for all of us certainly do leave us with some baggage to deal with. But for me, unless the woman has serious issues, it would not be a deal breaker. Perhaps this is why some foreign guys look to date a young 20-year-old Filipina who may have far less baggage to carry in life. My next point is around the Filipina having a child or even children. I've heard many guys say a child would be no problem, and equally I hear many guys say they would not be a father to another woman's child. Again, there's no right or wrong here. It's all about personal preference and what life you're looking for into the future. After all, no one can tell you what's best in your own life. Simply, that's for you to decide. But for me, I didn't mind that my wife had a 7-year-old child at the time. And honestly, she has added so much to my life here in Australia and to our family as a whole. But once more, I can certainly understand why some men would see this as a deal breaker and look for a woman who has no kids. The next point I raise is around the Filipina's work life. Now, if you really liked this woman and found out that she, at some point, had been working as a bar girl or an escort, would that change things for you? Even if she did this for a short period of time in order to make some money to live in the Philippines. We all know that getting work to put food on the table can be very difficult in the Philippines, and many need to find a way to live the best that they can. Now, would you be grateful and thankful to her for telling you the truth about her work history and think that she's honest for doing so? Or would that be just too much for you to accept and you finish the relationship there and then? For me, I can certainly appreciate that life in the Philippines is very tough and if you don't come up with the money, then generally you can starve. And really, who knows what any of us would do if we were in the same situation. But would I date a former or current bar girl or escort? I would say no. Mainly because it would be hard to get out of my head how many guys she may have been with and the obvious health risks involved. If one was to enter into such a relationship, then she would need to have all the necessary tests done prior to having any sort of intimate relationship with. Again, for me, it's just a complication that really isn't needed when starting a new relationship or life with someone. Now, my last point in this video I'll raise is around virginity. My wife pointed out to me that she knows many Filipino men who won't be interested in a Filipina if she's not a virgin. But all the while, it's fine for him to be making many conquests of his own. And in fairness, I think possibly the same thing happens in many countries where it seems more socially acceptable for the man to have many conquests, and if the woman does likewise, she's considered to be trashed. My view here is that many foreign guys would be used to women not being a virgin, and this really wouldn't have a bearing on any relationship with a Filipina. Unless, of course, you found out that she was playing around with countless men. But for a Filipina who has been with a small amount of men, I wouldn't think this would be an issue, and certainly no deal breaker. Or do you see it differently? And if you do, then pop your comments in the comments below, but let's do it in a respectful way, of course. If you've enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe and press the bell icon for future videos. And we have over 600 videos in our various playlists to choose from. Thanks for watching. Stay safe and take care.